question 42, which is grouped with question 55. So question 42, Deputy Pádraig O'Sullivan, and 55, Deputy Mark O'Cahasey. So Deputy O'Sullivan.
Thanks, Chairperson. Minister, could I ask you to provide an update on the Department's plans to simplify and modernise the Control of Horses Act 1996 as per the summer legislative programme?
Thanks very much, Deputy O'Sullivan, for raising this. And listen, given the programme that on Primetime Investigates last night as well, I might just address that briefly and to say the scenes that we saw and were shocking and appalling. The mistreatment of horses that we saw, absolutely unacceptable. We have very strict laws in this country in relation to the welfare of animals as well as the traceability of animals. It was very distressing to watch that. And my department are already working with the Gardaí, investigating those instances, and the full rigours of the law will be applied here in relation to that. And I think it's also important to say that it's not reflective of the care and attention our lives that our horses are afforded with, and the welfare that is taken so seriously by people in the industry. But I think we were all shocked at what we saw last night, and it simply will not be tolerated, Deputy O'Sullivan. And thanks for you for raising this issue today as well, because equine welfare and traceability is something we take seriously, and there's a commitment in the programme for government to prioritise equine welfare and to build on existing inspector supports as well across the country, ensuring a consistent approach to dealing with horse welfare. And my department provides funding to local authorities as a contribution towards the costs incurred by them in the operation of the Control of Horses Act of 1996, and enforcement of the Act is a matter for each relevant authority. And the Act, though, is currently under review within my department, and plans for replacement legislation are well advanced. And the aim of this replacement legislation is to simplify and clarify procedures in the Act in terms of seizure and disposal of horses. And my department undertook a stakeholder consultation late last year on the Control of Horses legislation, with submissions sought by November of last, and 4 submissions were received, these being from the Veterinary Council of Ireland, the ISPCA, Borough and Rescue and County, and Borough and Rescue, and also County and City Manager Association.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy O'Sullivan.
Yeah, thanks, Minister, and thanks for your statement. And I know from the sentiments you expressed that you will look at those issues that were raised in Primetime Investigates last night and deal with them appropriately. And just initially to acknowledge, and I suppose it's difficult to acknowledge, but to be fair to your department, you have provided significant increase in funding for local authorities and animal welfare charities in the last number of years. But still, as the images of last night are quite stark, as you've expressed. And for me, the fundamental issue around traceability and the licensing of horses really needs to be investigated fully, and powers there need to be strengthened. And it's something that I would have raised with you previously, and I actually have a bill which I haven't submitted yet that I circulated to your special advisor previously. And I do fundamentally believe that something has to change in terms of the licensing and the tracing of horses. I would estimate that anything up to a third of all horses in the country are unregistered for various reasons. So look, I acknowledge your comments. I'll follow up afterwards, just with a supplementary.
Deputy O'Sullivan. So listen, there's been significant actions over the last 10 years in terms of improving the traceability of horses and the identification of them. In 2013 or 2014, the Central Equine Database was introduced. Subsequent to that as well, or prior to that, microchipping. And also in recent times, since 2021, there's an annual horse census taking place. There's a requirement for all horse places of residence to be registered with the department as well. And then most recently, last year as well, there's an online portal now where any member of the public can check a horse microchip and see the full record of the horse. And also we're progressing now with passports for horses as well, which will digitise it and mean it's available in real time and also improve traceability. But it's also going to be important that we work across Europe to make sure that the cross European system is robust too, and that's something that we need to work further on to make sure that the journey which has been travelled over the last number of years, that we get to a situation where it is very robust, and not just in our own country but at a European level.
Thank you, Deputy.
Improvements, Minister, but it is just worth highlighting that the welfare of animals, or the welfare of horses in this case, I suppose under current legislation, the responsibility falls on the owner of the animal to ensure the animal's welfare. And I'm just, I suppose, concerned again with the programme in mind from yesterday, and I don't think what was contained in the programme is that surprising to some of us that would have followed this over the last few years, but my concern is that the responsibility is placed on the animal owner, and I'm just not sure if there's a role. Like, I know the local authorities have power, I know that the Gardaíes have power, I know the Department of Agriculture has various powers as well, but it's around the enforcement. And I suppose the purpose of my bill that I would have prepared previously was to introduce the role of maybe an equine officer to local authorities. I'm just not sure if somebody like that, that's responsible for a register, that's responsible for seizing animals that are not registered on the spot, no messing around, no falling between the cracks between the various authorities. I'm just sure that, I'm quite sure that that probably is some way that we need to go and look at. Thank you.
Minister.
I want to thank you, Deputy Sullivan, for your commitment to this issue and to improving it and to taking it forward, and also for your proactivity as well in actually producing a piece of legislation to help address and make a contribution to this area. As I say, we currently now are reviewing the control of horses legislation with the objective of ensuring that enforcement is as strong as it possibly can be, and I'm very happy as well to engage with yourself in relation to your ideas around that and your own proposals in your bill as well, to see how that can be considered in that context. So thanks for raising it today as well, Deputy Sullivan, and for your ongoing work.
Thank you, Minister. Now, question number 4.